Three, two, one. Hey, what's up, guys? This is your boy Youngwoo, and today I'll be reacting to the Korean War. So, without further ado, let's get started. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's go.
The Korean War, June 25th, July 27th, 1953.
Okay,
At the end of World
that's
War
accurate.
II in 1945, Korea was freed from Japanese control. North Korea was occupied by the Soviets, while the South was occupied by American forces. By 1948, the country was divided in half at the 38th parallel, with the capitalist South ruled by Syngman Rhee and the communist North ruled by Kim Il-sung. The Soviet troops withdrew from Korea in 1948, and U.S. troops withdrew in 1949. However, North and South Korea, as enemies of one another, would not accept the border between them as permanent. The North Koreans attacked South Korea on June 25, 1950, advancing across the 38th parallel. Around 75,000 troops of the North Korean People's Army defeated the Republic of Korea's army with success, capturing the capital city of Seoul, then occupying the whole of South Korea.
Hold on. Just to give you a quick summary, not summary, just a background story of that. So, North Korean attacked South Korea on June 25th, 1950? 1950, yeah. Wait, I have to be sure about that. I know for sure it's June 25th. And I'm pretty sure it's 1950 because it's been 5 years since the independence, which was 1945. Anyways, so 1950, June 20th, 25th, North Korea attacked South Korea. In Korean, we would say 6.25, meaning 625 war. We call it 625 war, meaning June 25th. So what's important at that time, the background story is that later North Korea was found out that North Korea had a backup setup with the Soviet Union, and at that time it was only been 5 years after the World War II, so people didn't want to fight. People were trying their best not to start another war, and at that time it was basically there was two superpowers in the world, which was the Soviet Union with the communism and the United States with the capitalism. So, however, North Korea wanted to, take over the entire Korea, and they had a arrangement with North Korea with Soviet Union, saying that if we're gonna get the support from the Soviet Union, we're gonna end it really quick. So North Korea thought it was gonna be real easy. It's gonna be done in like 3 days, and as a matter of fact, it took like a very short time, like from North Korea to take over Seoul, because Korea is such a small country. You can from Pyongyang to Seoul, you can drive it with 2-3 hours and you're there. So Seoul was taken over within a day or something like that, really short. So North Korea thought this war was gonna end in 3 days or something, but which it didn't. Anyways, let's continue watching.
This was a problem, as President Truman in the United States wanted to contain the spread of communism by preventing the domino effect. That is, if Korea fell, so would other countries to the ideology. South Korea appealed for support, and the United States pushed a resolution through the United Nations Security Council. The USSR did not use its veto power, as it was boycotting the council because the new communist China was not accepted. In China's seat was the pro-US Chinese nationalist government of Taiwan.
So to give you that's my timer. So real quick, that was the UN at that time. There was like a political stuff going on. They were full of the capitalism party members in the UN, and that's why instead of China there was a Taiwanese representative, that's why the Soviet Union wasn't participating in the United States, because this was the Americans and the boys, pretty much.
An appeal was made by the Security Council for North Korea to withdraw its troops, but was ignored. As a result, approval was granted for a UN army made up of an international force of 16 nations to send help to South Korea, commanded by General Douglas MacArthur.
Yeah. real quick, this was the war that involved a lot, probably the most number of countries in the United Nations, something like that. I read it on the Wikipedia.
UN troops, composed mainly of Americans, landed in South Korea in early July, but were soon pushed back on the defense by the North Korean forces, forming a perimeter around Busan to defend the line until reinforcements arrived in August. Now that their position was strengthened, MacArthur went on the offensive. On September 15th, the U.S. Marines X-Corps launched an amphibious assault at Incheon. The North Korean troops were pushed back on the retreat over the 38th parallel.
So, real quick again. So what MacArthur did, basically they did a D-Day on Incheon. So you guys know what D-Day is, right? They fought on the shore to so Incheon is like the city. Go back. So Incheon it's a harbor city next to Seoul. So what MacArthur did, so they cut off North Korea in the middle. So it's called in Korean we call it Incheon 상륙 작전. So it's like the D-Day where they brought up the ship and then dropped soldiers and fought on the beach, something like that. Anyways,
the North Korean troops
going.
were pushed back on the retreat over the 38th parallel, and soon Seoul was recaptured along with the whole of South Korea by the end of the month. Now MacArthur was to go beyond the initial idea of containment. Truman, worried of a Chinese response, nevertheless approved, and UN troops moved into North Korea on October 7, 1950. On October 12th, they captured Pyongyang, the North Korean capital, and then the Yalu River, which was the border with communist China.
Mm-hmm.
China retaliated by helping the North Koreans, sending 250,000 Chinese troops. The UN troops, overwhelmed by this new force, were pushed out of North Korea with heavy losses.
Yep.
By January 1951, Chinese and North Korean troops had captured Seoul. General MacArthur wanted to use the atom bomb on China and was dismissed for insubordination by President Truman, who went back to a policy of containment.
Go back. So to give you more background story on that, so MacArthur wanted to use the atomic bomb apparently, but at that time the United States, the president of the United States did not want to start the World War III because that's what it would have been if you dropped the atomic bomb. That's just like, you got China involved, now you got Soviet Union involved, now you got North Korea involved. That's another World War III. The United States the president of the United States did not want that to happen, and as a matter of fact, MacArthur, the war hero at that time, who came back to America and then got into trouble or something like that. He had to resign and got into something like that because he was a war maniac, something like that. So yeah, the president did not want to start the World War III. It was only 5 years after the World War II. So, anyways.
In June 1951, more UN troops were sent to Korea, eventually driving the North Korean army to the 38th parallel and stabilizing the front. Now, a stalemate set in. In July, peace talks began, but a compromise could not be found. Meanwhile, fighting continued, and American pilots fought in the air against Soviet pilots using Chinese jet fighters and wearing Chinese uniforms. General Dwight D. Eisenhower took over as president in early 1953 and sought an end to the war. After 2 years of negotiation, an armistice was signed on July 27, 1953, at Panmunjom on the 38th parallel. A demilitarized zone was set up, which stands to this day.
Yep.
So set up.
So that's basically like 4 minutes of the summary of the Korean War. So, what is this guy missing? Or what more can I provide? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. Apparently, apparently the Korean War museum, or not a museum, historian place. Is that called museum? We call it in 박물관 in Korean, but that place is the hottest place. Is a common place that a lot of foreigners visit when they come to Korea, and DMZ as well, the demilitarized zone. There is a movie, Korean movie, where you guys know Song Kang-ho, right? The guy who was in The Parasite, the movie. He's in it. It's an old Korean movie, but I definitely recommend it. It's called I forgot the name of it. Search Song Kang-ho and Song Kang-ho DMZ, and you'll be able to find it. It's a good movie that shows the relations or the scene that happens. So it's about a little military movie that takes place in the DMZ. So if you're interested in that, I would recommend that as well. What else? The Korean War. So the Korean War is going back and forth, and it is still ongoing. So that peace treaty that we made, that's still in act. However, we did not cease the war. We were still on temporarily peace condition. So this is a record that the war has been going on for 70 years. Even to this day. 70, is it almost 80 now? No, I can't. Yeah, 75 years now. Yeah, 75 years, something like that. Still to this day, it is a world record. World record. What the hell? War. You know what I'm saying. I'm sorry. I'm Korean. Okay. So it's even to this day, it is a world record war, and I hope, and this is the why. That's why Koreans still have to go to the military, because we are still technically in war. And yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame that I'm not. No, it's a pity. Not a shame. It sucks. It sucks that Korea was a country that was all together. We were united, and now we are divided into two. And a lot of Koreans were dead because of this. A lot of Koreans, families were divided because of this. Because some people, let's say, your grandpa was in North Korea when this happened, and he couldn't come back to South Korea in time. There you go. You never get to see your grandpa again. Well, you don't know if it's alive or dead. It's such a pity. Tragic history of Korea. Anyways, so there you go. That is my final say, and that was the Korean War reacted by Korean guy Youngwoo. So on that note, we out. On a sad note. I kind of want to end on a high note, but I can't with this. I can't. Anyways, bye bye.